Well, hello. How are you? Hope you're doing well. I have some time to waste as I'm sitting here charging my Kia EV6. Yeah, let's just get to rambling, I guess. One of the things I've wanted to touch on and discuss is my my change in dynamic. Now, I'm very big on what a dynamic is. So my dynamic of my life is basically it's reality, and that's an idea of okay, the same thing. I'm sure a lot of you will associate with the same dynamic, and that's where grandparents spoil grandkids. That is a dynamic. That is a a reality that not many people will admit to, kind of thing. Hilariously enough, kind of like the same thing that we're discussing from day to day, where it's like, oh, the pornography industry is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, but none of you watch porn, right? It's a dynamic of this society is that we're all porn hungry assholes, but modesty says that we can't admit it. It's the same thing of why OnlyFans became so popular and so wonderful over the years, because hey, that girl next door that you've always wanted to be curious about her being naked, guess what, bro? You give her $5 a month, you can see what she looks like naked and put stuff in herself. Okay, I'm being theatric about it, but that's honestly what it comes down to when we're discussing a dynamic. It's this is kind of the way that it is. Now, how do we deal with that dynamic? So one of the big dynamics that I've had in my life was what objectively you could say was a 180-degree turn from the idea of being a conservative Republican. And I don't like to use titles. Many people don't like to do it because, yeah, you're right. It's stupid. It pigeonholes you into how you're supposed to react the remainder of your life, blah, 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 blah. But it was easy for me to become who I was, especially almost entirely due to the fact of my upbringing. And it's the same thing. I have a book that's going on about systemic poverty and things of that nature. Vice President J.D. Vance discussed it in his book. It's just like, I had a post one time. I'm like, well, until the middle working class, until the working class does what the working class does, and that is goes to work all day long in a mind-numbing job that's not going to go anywhere, a factory that the Japanese now own, and go home and drink ourselves fucking stupid because there's nothing intellectually that we have to provide any kind of attention to besides just what your autonomous life is about. So as being a soldier, I signed up whenever I was 17 in my white country high school. I think there was like only 100 and some people. You literally sat in some classrooms and looked out at fields of cows, like untouched by what reality is in the world nowadays. And so that, of course, breeds, ethnocentrism. The basic thing that we're all fighting right now, and what made me, what changed, I don't want to say changed, because I guess I've always just been a person who wants people to be happy. There is some very, very deep subconscious portion of me that I am almost subservient in such a way, because I genuinely feel happy about people being happy. Jokingly enough, that's exactly why my wife married me. LOL, insert laughing emoji. But going back on that, it was the 2020 election, and I remember just, sadly enough, it provided me enough time to analyze things, because whenever I first got back from Afghanistan in 2012, I had a little, it started because my tour to Afghanistan was a lot more political than my tour in Iraq, which was far more kinetic. And we're just coming off of, you know, America, the 9/12 project and such. I went over to Iraq, and kicking indoors and shooting people in the face. That's what we're supposed to do to that extent. And came back, I did recruiting, and even as a recruiter, you're still drinking the Kool-Aid, if not harder. It was one of those things that the 3 years I was in recruiting, the last year, so the third year that I was in recruiting, after everything was just hunky-dory, and we had a pretty good life in my recruiting station, because even at one point in time, I believe we were like number one. One month we were number one in USAREC, which is United States Army Recruiting Command. So we were number one in all of that, worldwide. It was just my first sergeant was awesome in this, but we push production all day long, and myself and my other recruiters are recruiting people in a time of war. So we definitely have to be like, no, bro, it's the best thing ever, blah, 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 blah. I have not checked if any of the kids I put into the Army have died. I'm not going to do that. That would probably change a big part of me. Kind of like whenever my buddy died in Iraq, it definitely, it takes something from, and he didn't really go out on many missions, and I was like, oh, no, send me. I'm fucking dumb, and I have the hero complex kind of thing, but he kind of really didn't, but he ended up dying. This fucking sucks. Like, maybe the fourth time that he's ever been outside the wire, and the dude eats it from an IED. Sad as fuck. I remember that day because we were back on the fob, and they're like, hey, we have a formation. I'm like, what the fuck is this dumb formation about? A lot of us were like, oh my God, we get half a day to do fucking laundry and prepare our weapons for the next battle and everything. We have to go to a stupid what the hell is this about? And I remember it because the captain led into it, as he said, convoy such and such left LSA Anaconda at time, and that's when they encountered an IED, and there was one individual who lost his life today, and they say Joseph Nuri, and you could hear the air come out of the entire area. We just everybody sucked, and it's hard to, of course it's hard to process, but processing it in a time of war is a lot different, because I'm like, man, that fucking sucks. And later that day, I was back outside the wire. Everyone else was back out there with me, and it was War 101 from the moment that we were checking our magazines and our body armor kind of thing. But going into that, I made a pretty decent shift from that when I saw America really didn't care. And why should we? Why would an American care about anything else after, so okay, this was me going into Afghanistan in 2011. So it was still within a decade. Patriotism was still high and running. So at that point in time, yeah, why wouldn't America want to have that going for them? And to transition from that mindset of being the best soldier and America, and kind of to the effect that whenever I was talking to, people would thank you for your service, thank you for your service. A lot of the times I wanted to be like, I didn't do anything for you. Like, we're not doing anything for you in Iraq right now.